done to us? You're such a tease. Let's get into it. Buell has paraded its Roland Sands Buell concept bike, a truly remarkable design that captivated thousands of us to pay $50 for a slot deposit for our chance to own a Super Cruiser. A year later, the production samples were released. They look similar from a distance, but up close, upon further inspection, it was obvious changes to the Roland Sands design were made. Buell cited production and supplier concerns, as well as the need to make money on this endeavor.
We're trying to keep many things as cost efficient as possible for the company, and people are going to change them to make it their own style anyway.
So they raided the parts bin to find bolt-on parts shared amongst other Buell production bikes, like the Hammerhead and SX, and parts assigned to their future Super Tourer model, another concept bike that Buell plans to bring to market at the same time as the Super Cruiser. Which begs the question, how much R&D for the Super Cruiser is being shared with the Super Tourer?
They teach you in business class that once the value of the merchandise offered exceeds the asking price, a sale is made. Buell is ready to accept your money for its Super Cruiser, but have they achieved the threshold of value? Have they earned your business?
As we move toward the Super Cruiser Production Concept Bike 3, we are seeing additional part changes on Buell's social media, and details in this week's email announcing they're accepting deposits of $1,000 shed additional light on what the Super Cruiser won't have, and that's a single front perimeter disc rotor, a staple in past Buell designs. It appears both the Super Cruiser and the Super Tourer will now be equipped with dual floating rotors, just like any other high-performance cruiser out there. That's one less Buell characteristic, and some potential buyers out there are saying enough is enough.
Say what you want about Harley Davidson, the brand, but the product itself provides value for its customers. If it didn't, you nor I would be riding one. For smaller brands like Buell to compete with Harley, the product needs to exceed the value threshold by a large margin in order for it to be successful. But how can you give more for less as a small company if you expect to stay in business? You can't. The economies of scale are not in your favor. So now it's a game of how much more can Buell charge for being different as its primary value to the consumer. Buell feels that fee is $6,000 over a Harley Lowrider S and an Indian Sport Chief. However, recent changes to their Super Cruiser offer indicates Buell feels you'll accept less and be quite happy about it.
All right, let's go over the Super Cruiser changes that have occurred since the production concept bikes have been released. Suspension. There is no Öhlins on the Buell Super Cruiser. They have yet to announce who will be the supplier for the suspension. Many say it's Showa, but we're not sure. They haven't committed. Frame. They've had to make 2 access cuts in the frame in order for the engine to be easily removed from the motorcycle for servicing. Radiator. They've made tweaks to the radiator, and they've made a color change. They've gone from the concept bike that Roland Sands had, which is a raw color, to black, and now they're saying it's back to raw. The 50 state compliant exhaust is a parts bin exhaust. It's the same exhaust that's on all of the Buell products. Turn signals and indicators are from the parts bin, shared with other models in the line. The seat, it is a saddle bin, but there will be no Buell logo on the seat. The tank, they have 3 different tank graphics, and they're yet undecided which one it will be. The headlight, from the parts bin. The tail light is not going to be Frenched like the Roland Sands concept bike. It's going to be from the parts bin. Risers and bars, it's not the Roland Sands Sector series. It's going to be from the parts bin. Grips, levers, also from the parts bin. The engine, they eliminated the dual injector system for a loss of 10 horsepower, but the bike still has 175 horsepower and a reported 103 foot-pounds of torque. And just recently, they decided to drop the perimeter rotor, and they've gone to a dual front disc rotor system, and that's one of the big patented Eric Buell technologies. And it's an important technology because it allows for the wheel to be a lot lighter. So I'm curious to see how much weight has been added to the bike for this change in the rotor system. Eric Buell explains more.
When all the other people in the superbike class run 2 conventional brake discs, we run a single brake disc system. We run just a single brake disc that mounts out to the rim. It's basically inside out, so we call it an inside out brake system. But what that does is allow the wheel to be very, very light.
The instrument gauge. I added it to the list because they did put the Buell logo on the outer perimeter of the bezel, and they changed the splash screen to Buell. But otherwise, it's the same gauge they've had since 2014. What's up with the twin lab urine cups on the handlebars? Can't they make those black? There's an interesting tidbit that I overlooked when originally assessing this bike. The engine is not a Rotax. Upon launch, Cycle World in their article released the fact that the engine will be 175 horsepower 1190 liquid-cooled Buell V-twin, an evolution of the Rotax Helicon mill. But Eric Buell clears up the confusion in a 2014 article stating that it was co-designed by Buell and Rotax, but it was a unique design not sharing any components with any other Rotax motor. And when Buell was shut down by Harley Davidson, Rotax got the intellectual property back for that engine. And then it was reattained by Eric Buell with Harley's permission when he opened up EBR. Buell says that Rotax makes no contribution whatsoever to the manufacturing, and they actually only ever made 3 parts on that engine. They machined the crankcases from raw castings that they brought in from another supplier. They machined the crankshaft out of forgings they had bought, and they machined the cylinder heads out of castings that they had bought. And basically, when Eric brought that engine home, all he had to do was resource those 3 components that Rotax made, and their relationship with Rotax was over. And the engine was fully manufactured by Eric Buell's EBR team. And that's the same engine that's in the Super Cruiser today. So I'm curious why Buell's Vice President Chris Pobans, during my 2023 interview at Bike Week, led me to believe that Rotax is the manufacturer of the Super Cruiser engine, and didn't correct me when I presented this presumption. So let's talk about that Rotax engine. Now, I did a little research. I found out that Rotax obviously was a Eric Buell elected motor back in 2007 as he transitioned away from the Sportster engine.
Correct.
Okay, and then he used the same brand motor through his EBR relationship with Hero Motor Corp. Not exactly, as I recently learned and just explained. This would have been the perfect time for Chris to correct my presumption. The engine that you've selected for the Super Cruiser, is it the same that has been used in the past for other bikes, or is it a different engine?
It is basically the same, little bit different variation than what was used in the past.
Okay, so similar to, let's say, the Harley brand, they'll tune the Revolution Max engine for a particular bike, like the Pan America. They'll tune it differently for the Sportster S. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
We do some research with Rotax. They make airplane engines.
There are more Rotax engines out in this world than anybody even knows. Rotax is really the king of development of motors for so many companies.
Perhaps Chris wasn't familiar with the engine's history. Chris informed me that he had been with Buell for 6 months at that point and came from the marine boating industry. I just hope that someone at Buell is familiar with the history of that motor. As Dalton Richards 2279 wrote in one of my past Buell Super Cruiser videos, as a former EBR owner of 3, I'm very nervous that there has been zero mention of engine changes. The original EBR had a ton of fluky quirks that resulted in blown engines. I want to know what has been done to prevent that for newer models of Buell. After some interaction, Dalton Richards 2279 continued, I'm well aware of the history. I'd worked with NCCR for a little while. The engines were overboard and suffered from cracking under unique circumstances. There were aftermarket prevention modifications available. I can't buy one until I find out what they have fixed, the issues that caused you to have a bomb between your legs at 80 miles per hour. NCCR was a EBR dealer in Sweden and supports servicing for those models to this day. All right, let's dive into the email that Buell sent out to those who had slot order deposits. This email went out this past week on Thursday, and Buell says they greatly appreciate your early support and excitement for the Super Cruiser. Go ahead and click this button here to secure your Buell Super Cruiser with a $1,000 deposit to lock in your build at the introductory price of $23,900. And they remind you that after November 12th, 2024, the order banks will be open to the general public. And then, of course, they provide a frequently asked questions and terms and conditions link. And if we click on that, it brings us to a PDF document that answers some questions that you may have, but also provides additional information that wasn't available not even 2 weeks ago. Of course, they reiterate the $1,000 deposit is refundable for all but $200 of it, and then the options are reaffirmed again. But here they delineate very specifically that it's going to come with a dual disc front braking system and not the single perimeter rotor. The saddleman seat, 50 state approved stock exhaust, which we knew about, and then they mention that additional options and or aftermarket components are expected to be available. So they're not committing to provide any additional options, but there will be either their options or aftermarket options. They reaffirm the delivery times may vary based on the configuration selected, where you live, and supply chain fluctuations, with production beginning in fall 2025. They've released information on financing. They've selected a financing partner that you can work with, And then, of course, you can bring your own financing as well. However, no financing will be finalized until you're assigned a VIN number. So everything will be pending until next year or whenever the Super Cruiser is available. They address service. While we have nearly 50 service centers set up across the United States, we're diligently working on getting additional locations set up. And they expect to have a service center in all primary markets by the time the Super Cruiser is in production. As of the production of this video, their website is showing approximately 36 service or sales centers set up. And then here's some new information that I found very, very interesting. Warranty. They're providing a 12 months unlimited miles warranty. That is your standard warranty, 12 months. And they say their extended 1 year and 2 year warranty options will be available. Considering that their competitors offer a 24-month warranty and some 36-month warranties, I think some people may pause on that. However, there are means for you to get extended warranty options. Maybe not through Buell, but through companies like Discount ESP. Discount ESP is an extended warranty company that specializes in motorcycle and automotive extended warranties. They will warranty any motorcycle that is within 20 years old, and that warranty can be started at any point in that 20-year lifetime of that motorcycle. So if you buy a used motorcycle that's 5 years old or 10 years old, you can purchase an extended warranty for that. The Discount ESP warranty is better than factory warranties. It covers more than a factory warranty does, and you're not limited to miles. Service centers love Discount ESP because they are paid once the work is completed. They simply call a phone number and payment is either given to them by credit card or wired directly to their bank account. For more information on Discount ESP, I invite you to click the link in the description and use my referral code to take advantage of Discount ESP for all your new and used motorcycle extended warranty needs. And a final note on the email, under terms and conditions, Buell announces that they're setting up distribution centers for Canada, Mexico, and the United Kingdom, and they're working diligently on other export markets. The Buell Super Cruiser will be first introduced to the U.S. market with the hopes to be sold globally the following years.
How much an improvement for me is the Buell Super Cruiser going to be over my Sportster? Now, some of you guys, I know you're rolling on the floor. I'll give you a second to quit laughing. But hear me out. Put the 1275 hammer kit in there, and now I got more displacement. I've already dropped like 30 pounds off of this bike from when it was stock. So it's sitting right about 532. And I know the Buell Super Cruiser is 102 pounds less than that. You know, throw some suspension on this, some inverted forks if I wanted to. But let's say I put the Olin suspension on it, something Buell dares not to do. But you know, you look at suspension from where I'm at now, you add all that up, it's $5,000. You add that on top of the price of what I pay for the Sportster and what I've done so far to it, and you're looking at, you know, 20 grand. And the Buell Super Cruiser at $23,900 if you take advantage of the early discount, or $25,900 plus fees, plus suspension, plus whatever else you need, the exhaust. You're looking at 30 to 34 grand depending on what you do. So that's still a significant savings. And what's going to be the difference? Well, it'll be a Buell, not a Harley, and it'll be a 100-pound lighter bike. But why take advantage of all that hooligan shit that they keep promoting with that bike? Am I going to take it to the track? Am I going to do all the things that Roland Sands can do on the bike? Little motorcycle ballet, burnouts. I probably could use some burnouts.
Buell Super Cruiser, to me, I mean, this bike really hits the nail on the head when it comes to what I think people want right now. They want high performance, they want it all. They want everything in one package. I can't think of a bike that's more than everything in one package than this bike.
So I asked myself, am I gonna get $14,000, $8,000 more enjoyment out of it? For me, I don't think so. I just, you know, not that experienced of a rider, you know, 3.5 years in. I probably should not be thinking about that bike. Doesn't mean I can't talk about it and dream about it, but realistically, I don't think it's for me. I think continuing on with my Sportster build as I'm doing and building that bike up
and enjoying and taking advantage of all its performance as I build it up, makes sense to me. And it's better on my pocketbook. So I think for me, I'm gonna pass on the Buell Super Cruiser. I lost 50 bucks, but I look at the $50 going to help them build their production concept bikes that they did. They built 2 bikes off of those slot orders. So I did my part for America.
What I know for sure is I enjoy my Sportster, and I know I can do whatever is necessary to make it faster, handle better, to make it give the sound that I want, all within my riding and financial capabilities. To me, that is true value. Whether I apply the logic, 1 in the hand is better than 2 in the bush, or the grass is always greener on the other side, either way it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And beauty is in the eye of the beer holder. This is because Buell Super Cruiser no longer makes any sense at the asking price.
Thank you for coming along with me on this one. Be sure not to sleep on the next video that's up, where I take Indian Sport Chief out for a rip. I'll see you there. And the exhaust note, much better in sport mode. That's amazing that they can take an air-cooled engine and put modes on it. I think that's awesome. All right, 5th gear. Oh, it pulls. It pulls.